Chapter 21. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, A priest shall not defile himself for the dead among his people, except for his relatives that are near to him, for his mother, for his father, for his son, for his daughter, for his brother, and for his virgin sister who is near to him, who has had no husband. For her he may defile himself. He shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. They shall not shave their heads, neither shall they shave off the corners of their beards, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. They shall be holy to their God, and not profane the name of their God, for they offer the offerings of the Lord made by fire, the bread of their God. Therefore they shall be holy. They shall not marry a woman who is a prostitute or profane. Neither shall they marry a woman divorced from her husband, for he is holy to his God. You shall sanctify him therefore, for he offers the bread of your God. He shall be holy to you, for I, the Lord, who sanctify you, am holy. The daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by playing the prostitute, she profanes her father. She shall be burned with fire. He who is the high priest among his brothers, upon whose head the anointing oil is poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not let the hair of his head hang loose, nor tear his clothes. Neither shall he go in to any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or for his mother. Neither shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God, for the crown of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord. He shall take a wife in her virginity. A widow, or one divorced, or a woman who has been defiled, or a prostitute, these he shall not marry, but a virgin of his own people shall he take as a wife. He shall not profane his seed among his people, for I am the Lord who sanctifies him. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Say to Aaron, None of your seed throughout their generations who has a blemish may approach to offer the bread of his God. For whatever man he is that has a blemish, he shall not draw near. A blind man, or lame, or he who has a flat nose, or any deformity, or a man who has an injured foot, or an injured hand, or hunchbacked, or a dwarf, or one who has a defect in his eye, or an itching disease, or scabs, or who has damaged testicles. No man of the seed of Aaron the priest who has a blemish shall come near to offer the offerings of the Lord made by fire. Since he has a blemish, he shall not come near to offer the bread of his God. He shall eat the bread of his God, both of the most holy and of the holy. He shall not come near to the veil, nor come near to the altar, because he has a blemish, that he may not profane my sanctuaries, for I am the Lord who sanctifies them. So Moses spoke to Aaron and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel. Chapter 22. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Tell Aaron and his sons to separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, which they make holy to me, and that they not profane my holy name. I am the Lord. Tell them, if any of all your seed throughout your generations approaches the holy things, which the children of Israel make holy to the Lord, having his uncleanness on him, that soul shall be cut off from before me. I am the Lord. Whoever of the seed of Aaron is a leper, or has an issue, he shall not eat of the holy things until he is clean. Whoever touches anything that is unclean by the dead, or by a man whose seed goes from him, or whoever touches any creeping thing, whereby he may be made unclean, or a man of whom he may take uncleanness, whatever uncleanness he has, the person that touches any such shall be unclean until the evening, and shall not eat of the holy things, unless he bathe his body in water. When the sun is down he shall be clean, and afterward he shall eat of the holy things, because it is his bread. That which dies of itself or is torn by animals he shall not eat, defiling himself by it. I am the Lord. They shall therefore keep my charge, lest they bear sin for it, and die therein, if they profane it. I am the Lord who sanctifies them. No stranger shall eat of the holy thing. A foreigner living with the priest or a hired servant shall not eat of the holy thing. But if a priest buys a slave, purchased by his money, he shall eat of it, and such as are born in his house, they shall eat of his bread. If a priest's daughter is married to an outsider, she shall not eat of the heave offerings of the holy things. But if a priest's daughter is a widow, or divorced, or has no child, and has returned to her father's house as in her youth, she may eat of her father's bread, but no stranger shall eat any of it. If a man eats something holy unwittingly, then he shall add the 5th part of its value to it, and shall give the holy thing to the priest. The priest shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel which they offer to the Lord, and so cause them to bear the iniquity that brings guilt when they eat their holy things. For I am the Lord who sanctifies them. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, Whoever is of the house of Israel, or of the foreigners in Israel, who offers his offering, whether it be any of their vows, or any of their freewill offerings which they offer to the Lord for a burnt offering, that you may be accepted, you shall offer a male without blemish of the bulls, of the sheep, or of the goats. But whatever has a blemish, that you shall not offer, for it shall not be acceptable for you. Whoever offers a sacrifice of peace offerings to the Lord to accomplish a vow, or for a freewill offering, of the herd or of the flock, it shall be perfect to be accepted. There shall be no blemish therein. Blind, injured, maimed, having a wart, festering, or having a running sore, you shall not offer these to the Lord, nor make an offering by fire of them on the altar to the Lord. Either a bull or a lamb that has any deformity or lacking in his parts, that you may offer for a freewill offering, but for a vow it shall not be accepted. That which has its testicles bruised, crushed, broken, or cut, you shall not offer to the Lord, neither shall you do thus in your land. Neither from the hand of a foreigner shall you offer the bread of your God of any of these, because their corruption is in them. There is a blemish in them. They shall not be accepted for you. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, When a bull, or a sheep, or a goat is born, then it shall remain 7 days with its mother, and from the 8th day and thenceforth it shall be accepted for the offering of an offering made by fire to the Lord. Whether it is a cow or a ewe, you shall not kill it and its young both in 1 day. When you sacrifice a sacrifice of thanksgiving to the Lord, you shall sacrifice it so that you may be accepted. It shall be eaten on the same day. You shall leave none of it until the morning. I am the Lord. Therefore you shall keep my commandments and do them. I am the Lord. You shall not profane my holy name, but I will be made holy among the children of Israel. I am the Lord who makes you holy, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. Chapter 23. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and tell them, The set feast of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my set feast. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no manner of work. It is a Sabbath to the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the set feast of the Lord, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their appointed season. In the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month in the evening, is the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. In the 1st day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work, but you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and tell them, When you have come into the land which I have given to you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring the sheaf of the firstfruits of your harvest to the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the next day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. On the day when you wave the sheaf, you shall offer a male lamb without blemish, a year old, for a burnt offering to the Lord. The meal offering with it shall be 2/10 parts of an ephah of fine flour, mingled with oil, an offering made by fire to the Lord for a sweet savor. And the drink offering with it shall be of wine, the fourth part of a hin. You shall eat neither bread, nor roasted grain, nor fresh grain, until this same day, until you have brought the offering of your God. This is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. You shall count from the next day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. Even to the next day after the 7th Sabbath you shall number 50 days, and you shall offer a new meal offering to the Lord. You shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 part of an ephah. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baked with yeast, for firstfruits to the Lord. You shall present with the bread 7 lambs without blemish a year old, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. They shall be a burnt offering to the Lord with their meal offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire, of a sweet aroma to the Lord. You shall offer 1 male goat for a sin offering, and 2 male lambs a year old for a sacrifice of peace offerings. The priest shall wave them with the bread of the firstfruits for a wave offering before the Lord, with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priest. You shall make proclamation on the same day. There shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall do no regular work. This is a statute forever in all your dwellings, throughout your generations. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap into the corners of your field, neither shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and for the foreigner. I am the Lord your God. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, shall be a solemn rest to you, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, However, on the 10th day of this 7th month is the day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation to you, and you shall afflict yourselves, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. You shall do no manner of work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make atonement for you before the Lord your God. For whoever it is who shall not deny himself in that day, he shall be cut off from his people. Whoever it is who does any manner of work in that same day, that person I will destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It is a statute forever, throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for you, and you shall deny yourselves. In the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening to evening, you shall keep your Sabbath. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say, On the 15th day of this 7th month is the Feast of Tents for 7 days to the Lord. On the 1st day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation to you, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. It is a solemn assembly. You shall do no regular work. These are the appointed feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering and a meal offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, each on its own day, besides the Sabbaths of the Lord, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your freewill offerings which you give to the Lord. So on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruits of the land, you shall keep the feast of the Lord 7 days. On the 1st day shall be a solemn rest, and on the 8th day shall be a solemn rest. You shall take on the 1st day the fruit of good trees, branches of palm trees, and boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. You shall keep it a feast to the Lord 7 days in the year. It is a statute forever, throughout your generations. You shall keep it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in booths 7 days. All who are native born in Israel shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Moses declared to the children of Israel the appointed feast of the Lord. Chapter 24. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring to you pure olive oil beaten for the light, to cause a lamp to burn continually. Outside of the veil of the testimony, in the tent of meeting, shall Aaron keep it in order from evening to morning before the Lord continually. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. He shall keep in order the lamps on the pure gold lampstand before the Lord continually. You shall take fine flour, and bake 12 cakes of it. 2/10 parts of an ephah shall be in 1 cake. You shall set them in 2 rows, 6 on a row, on the pure gold table before the Lord. You shall put pure frankincense on each row, that it may be to the bread for a memorial, even an offering made by fire to the Lord. Every Sabbath day he shall set it in order before the Lord continually. It is on behalf of the children of Israel an everlasting covenant. It shall be for Aaron and his sons, and they shall eat it in a holy place, for it is most holy to him of the offerings of the Lord, made by fire by a perpetual statute. The son of an Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel, and the son of the Israelite woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp. The son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name and cursed, and they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelemith, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. They put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be declared to them. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Bring out of the camp him who cursed, and let all who heard him lay their hands on his head, and let all the congregation stone him. You shall speak to the children of Israel, saying, Whoever curses his God shall bear his sin. He who blasphemes the name of the Lord, he shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall certainly stone him. The foreigner, as well as the native born, when he blasphemes the name, shall be put to death. He who strikes any man mortally shall be put to death. He who strikes an animal mortally shall make it good, life for life. If anyone injures his neighbor, as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has injured someone, so shall it be done to him. He who kills an animal shall make it good, and he who kills a man shall be put to death. You shall have one kind of law, for the foreigner as well as the native born, for I am the Lord your God. Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and they brought forth him who had cursed out of the camp, and stoned him with stones. The children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses. Chapter 25. The Lord said to Moses in Mount Sinai, Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, When you come into the land which I give you, then the land shall keep a Sabbath to the Lord. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in its fruits. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, a Sabbath to the Lord. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. What grows of itself in your harvest you shall not reap, and the grapes of your undressed vine you shall not gather. It shall be a year of solemn rest for the land. The Sabbath of the land shall be food for you, for yourself, for your servant, for your maid, for your hired servant, and for your stranger who lives as a foreigner with you. For your cattle also, and for the animals that are in your land, shall all the increase of it be for food. You shall count off 7 Sabbaths of years, 7 times 7 years, and there shall be to you the days of 7 Sabbaths of years, even 49 years. Then you shall sound the loud trumpet on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of atonement you shall sound the trumpet throughout all your land. You shall make the 50th year holy, and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee to you, and each of you shall return to his own property, and each of you shall return to his family. That 50th year shall be a jubilee to you. In it you shall not sow, neither reap that which grows of itself, nor gather from the undressed vines. For it is a jubilee, it shall be holy to you. You shall eat of its increase out of the field. In this year of Jubilee each of you shall return to his property. If you sell anything to your neighbor, or buy from your neighbor, you shall not wrong one another. According to the number of years after the Jubilee you shall buy from your neighbor. According to the number of year of the crops he shall sell to you. According to the length of the years you shall increase the price of it, and according to the shortness of the years you shall diminish the price of it, for he is selling the number of the crops to you. You shall not wrong one another, but you shall fear your God, for I am the Lord your God. Therefore you shall do my statutes, and keep my ordinances, and do them, and you shall dwell safely in the land. The land shall yield its fruit, and you shall eat your fill, and dwell therein in safety. If you said, What shall we eat the 7th year? Behold, we shall not sow, nor gather in our increase. Then I will command my blessing on you in the 6th year, and it shall bring forth fruit for the 3 years. You shall sow the 8th year, and eat of the fruits, the old store, until the 9th year. Until its fruits come in, you shall eat the old store. The land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine, for you are strangers and live as foreigners with me. In all the land of your possession you shall grant a redemption for the land. If your brother becomes poor, and sells some of his possessions, then his kinsman who is next to him shall come and redeem that which his brother has sold. If a man has no one to redeem it, and he becomes prosperous and finds sufficient means to redeem it, then let him reckon the year since the sale of it, and restore the surplus to the man to whom he sold it, and he shall return to his property. But if he is unable to get it back for himself, then what he has sold shall remain in the hand of him who has bought it until the year of Jubilee, and in the Jubilee it shall be released, and he shall return to his property. If a man sells a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it has been sold. For a full year he shall have the right of redemption. If it isn't redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be made sure in perpetuity to him who bought it, throughout his generations. It shall not be released in the Jubilee. But the houses of the villages which have no wall around them shall be reckoned with the fields of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall be released in the Jubilee. Nevertheless, the cities of the Levites, the houses in the cities of their possession, the Levites may redeem at any time. The Levites may redeem the house that was sold, and the city of his possession, and it shall be released in the Jubilee. For the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel, but the field of the suburbs of their cities may not be sold, for it is their perpetual possession. If your brother has become poor, and his hand can't support him among you, then you shall uphold him. As a stranger and a sojourner he shall live with you. Take no interest from him or profit, but fear your God, that your brother may live among you. You shall not lend him your money at interest, nor give him your food for profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God. If your brother has grown poor among you, and sells himself to you, you shall not make him to serve as a slave. As a hired servant, and as a sojourner he shall be with you. He shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee. Then he shall go out from you, he and his children with him, and shall return to his own family, and to the possession of his fathers. For they are my servants, who I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as slaves. You shall not rule over him with harshness, but shall fear your God. As for your male and your female slaves whom you may have of the nations that are around you, from them you may buy male and female slaves. Moreover, of the children of the strangers who sojourn among you, of them you may buy, and of their families who are with you, which they have conceived in your land, and they will be your property. You may make them an inheritance for your children after you, to hold for a possession. Of them may you take your slaves forever, but over your brothers, the children of Israel, you shall not rule, one over another with harshness. If a stranger or sojourner with you becomes rich, and your brother beside him has grown poor, and sells himself to the stranger or foreigner living among you, or to a member of the stranger's family, after he is sold he may be redeemed. One of his brothers may redeem him, or his uncle, or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any who is a close relative to him of his family may redeem him, or if he has grown rich, he may redeem himself. He shall reckon with him who bought him from the year that he sold himself to him to the year of Jubilee, and the price of his sale shall be according to the number of years, according to the time of a hired servant shall he be with him. If there are yet many years, according to them he shall give back the price of his redemption out of the money that he was bought for. If there remain but a few years to the year of Jubilee, then he shall reckon with him according to his years of service, he shall give back the price of his redemption. As a servant hired year by year shall he be with him. He shall not rule with harshness over him in your sight. If he isn't redeemed by these means, then he shall be released in the year of Jubilee, he and his children with him. For to me the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Chapter 26. You shall make for yourselves no idols, neither shall you raise up an engraved image or a pillar, neither shall you place any figured stone in your land to bow down to it, for I am the Lord your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths, and have reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then I will give you your rains in their season, and the land shall yield its increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshing shall reach to the vintage, and the vintage shall reach to the sowing time, and you shall eat your bread to the full and dwell in your land safely. I will give you peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and no one will make you afraid. And I will remove evil animals out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land. You shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase 10,000, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. I will have respect for you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and will establish my covenant with you. You shall eat old store long kept, and you shall move out the old because of the new. I will set my tent among you, and my soul won't abhor you. I will walk among you, and will be your God, and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their slaves, and I have broken the bars of your yoke, and made you go upright. But if you will not listen to me, and will not do all these commandments, and if you shall reject my statutes, and if your soul abhors my ordinances, so that you will not do all my commandments, but break my covenant, I also will do this to you. I will appoint terror over you, even consumption and fever, that shall consume the eyes, and make the soul to pine away. And you will sow your seed in vain, for your enemies will eat it. I will set my face against you, and you will be struck before your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will flee when no one pursues you. If you, in spite of these things, will not listen to me, then I will chastise you 7 times more for your sins. I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your sky like iron, and your soil like brass, and your strength will be spent in vain, for your land won't yield its increase, neither will the trees of the land yield their fruit. If you walk contrary to me and won't listen to me, then I will bring 7 times more plagues on you according to your sins. I will send the wild animals among you, which will rob you of your children, destroy your cattle, and make you few in number, and your roads will become desolate. If by these things you won't be reformed to me, but will walk contrary to me, then I will also walk contrary to you, and I will strike you, even I, 7 times for your sins. I will bring a sword upon you that will execute the vengeance of the covenant, and you will be gathered together within your cities, and I will send the pestilence among you, and you will be delivered into the hand of the enemy. When I break your staff of bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver your bread again by weight, and you shall eat, and not be satisfied. If you, in spite of this, won't listen to me, but walk contrary to me, then I will walk contrary to you in wrath, and I also will chastise you 7 times for your sins. You will eat the flesh of your sons, and you will eat the flesh of your daughters. I will destroy your high places and cut down your incense altars, and cast your dead bodies upon the bodies of your idols, and my soul will abhor you. I will lay your cities waste, and will bring your sanctuaries to desolation, and I will not take delight in the sweet fragrance of your offerings. I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies that dwell therein will be astonished at it. I will scatter you among the nations, and I will draw out the sword after you, and your land will be a desolation, and your city shall be a waste. Then the land will enjoy its Sabbaths, as long as it lies desolate, and you are in your enemy's land. Even then the land will rest and enjoy its Sabbaths. As long as it lies desolate, it shall have rest, even the rest which it didn't have in your Sabbaths when you lived on it. As for those of you who are left, I will send a faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies, and the sound of a driven leaf will put them to flight, and they shall flee, as one flees from the sword, and they will fall when no one pursues. They will stumble over one another, as it were before the sword, when no one pursues, and you will have no power to stand before your enemies. You will perish among the nations, and the land of your enemies will eat you up. Those of you who are left will pine away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them. If they confess their iniquity, and the iniquity of their fathers, and their trespass which they trespassed against me, and also that, because they walked contrary to me, I also walked contrary to them, and brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised heart is humbled, and they then accept the punishment of their iniquity, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. The land also will be left by them, and will enjoy its Sabbaths while it lies desolate without them, and they will accept the punishment of their iniquity, even because they rejected my ordinances, and their soul abhorred my statutes. Yet for all that, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them, neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God. But I will, for their sake, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the nations, that I might be their God. I am the Lord. These are the statutes, ordinances, and laws, which the Lord made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by Moses. Chapter 27. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When a man makes a vow, the person shall be for the Lord by your valuation. Your valuation shall be of a male from 20 years old even to 60 years old. Even your valuation shall be 50 shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary. If it is a female, then your valuation shall be 30 shekels. If the person is from 5 years old even to 20 years old, then your valuation shall be for a male 20 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. If the person is from a month old even to 5 years old, then your valuation shall be for a male 5 shekels of silver, and for a female your valuation shall be 3 shekels of silver. If the person is from 60 years old and upward, if it is a male, then your valuation shall be 15 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. But if he is poorer than your valuation, then he shall set before the priest, and the priest shall value him. According to the ability of him who vowed shall the priest value him. If it is an animal, of which men offer an offering to the Lord, all that any man gives of such to the Lord becomes holy. He shall not alter it, nor change it, a good for a bad, or a bad for a good. And if he shall at all change animal for animal, then both it and that for which it is changed shall be holy. If it is any unclean animal of which they do not offer as an offering to the Lord, then he shall set the animal before the priest, and the priest shall value it, whether it is good or bad. As you the priest values it, so shall it be. But if he will indeed redeem it, then he shall add the 5th part of it to its valuation. When a man dedicates his house to be holy to the Lord, then the priest shall evaluate it, whether it is good or bad. As the priest shall evaluate it, so shall it stand. If he who dedicates it will redeem his house, then he shall add the 5th part of the money of your valuation to it, and it shall be his. If a man dedicates to the Lord part of the field of his possession, then your valuation shall be according to the seed for it. The sowing of a homer of barley shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. If he dedicates his field from the year of Jubilee, according to your valuation it shall stand. But if he dedicates his field after the Jubilee, then the priest shall reckon to him the money according to the years that remain to the year of Jubilee, and an abatement shall be made from your valuation. If he who dedicated the field will indeed redeem it, then he shall add the 5th part of the money of your valuation to it, and it shall remain his. If he will not redeem the field, or if he has sold the field to another man, it shall not be redeemed any more. But the field, when it goes out in the Jubilee, shall be holy to the Lord, as a field devoted, and it shall be owned by the priest. If he dedicates to the Lord a field which he has bought, which is not of the field of his possession, then the priest shall reckon to him the worth of your valuation up to the year of Jubilee, and he shall give your valuation on that day as a holy thing to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee the field shall return to him from whom it was bought, even to him to whom the possession of the land belongs. All your valuation shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary, 20 gerahs to the shekel. Only the firstborn among animals, which is made a firstborn to the Lord. No man may dedicate it, whether an ox or a sheep. It is the Lord's. If it is an unclean animal, then he shall buy it back according to your valuation, and shall add to it the 5th part of it. Or if it isn't redeemed, then it shall be sold according to your valuation. Notwithstanding, no devoted thing that a man shall devote to the Lord of all that he has, whether of man or animal, or of the field of his possession, shall be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy to the Lord. No one devoted, who shall be devoted from among men, shall be ransomed. He shall surely be put to death. All the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land, or of the fruit of the trees, is the Lord's. It is holy to the Lord. If a man redeems anything of his tithe, he shall add a 5th part to it. All the tithe of the herds or of the flocks, whatever passes under the rod, the 10th shall be holy to the Lord. He shall not search whether it is good or bad, neither shall he change it. And if he changes it at all, then both it and that for which it is changed shall be holy. It shall not be redeemed. These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the children of Israel on Mount Sinai.